All right, everybody. Welcome to the lunch break here at FNGO. So glad you guys could join us today. It is Monday, July 28th. Long, hot weekend. So, Doc, all that I see you in the comment section. If you guys are watching on TikTok, make sure you join in the conversation. I promise I'll be on my best behavior because I do not want to get banned or in trouble with TikTok anymore. So, I will try to keep it nice and within the guidelines for them. But it was a great weekend for everybody. Got a long, hot weekend stored here in Georgia. Going to talk some fishing today. We're going to recap the GOM blast that was over in Emerson this past weekend, and whatever you guys want to get into. But it is good to join you. So ready for another exciting week of the lunch? That's right, Doc Holliday. So we'll get started. I mean, I'm telling you right now, today's supposed to be the hottest day of the year here in Georgia. And this afternoon, Jonathan Farmer and I are going to head over to Lake Lanier, and we're going to see if we can catch some fish. What's up, Silver Punk? How's it going on this crisp, cool afternoon? You know it. What's up, Robert Bleski? See you over there on TikTok. I tell you, we're going to see, because on the Fish North Georgia group page, we always put out the Monday morning brag board. And you can tell when it's been a good weekend and when it's been a tough weekend. And you can definitely tell from the lack of pictures this past weekend that it was a tough weekend for a lot of people. What's up, Nathan Owens? You definitely could tell because the number of pictures are down. And even some of the guys in the comment section were talking about how tough it was. But Farmer and I are going to head over to Lake Lanier this afternoon. We're going to throw some top water, some buzz baits. What's up, Rob? On the YouTube side, we're going to do let's see, what he said we're going to throw. We're going to throw some topwater buzz baits. Tell me to bring my wacky worm. 100%. Definitely going to have a wacky worm no matter where I'm going with that. And some jigs, maybe some big worms. I don't know. We're going to see what we can get into. I think we're going to put in over at Charleston, which is kind of mid-lake, so we can go up or down. What's up, Danny? Would love to hear your perspective of the blast from a consumer perspective. Well, Coleman Jones, first of all, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you in person over there. And your better half. And hopefully I sent her an email. Hopefully we can do some business. But I will tell you this, I'll get to that. I'm going to do our regular things first, and then we'll talk about that for sure. But I had a good time. I did have a good time at the GOM Blast. And for those of you that don't know, it's Georgia Outdoor News. It's their expo. What's up, diehard anglers? I'm out of TikTok jail, so I'm back. I am back. So I'm going to stay out of it this time. But I had a great time. But it was the Georgia Outdoor News Expo. They call it the Blast. It was in Emerson, Georgia. 6 Mile is great fishing today. All right, Roger, you need to tell me what you're catching them on, because I'm going to be going up that way. What's up, Doug Rice? Anyway, let's go ahead and do our day in history as we normally do, and then our Gen Z word of the day. And so I think it's a pretty good one today. So on this day in history, 1945, okay? In 1945, a U.S. Army B-25 bomber crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building. All right, 1945, an Army B-25 bomber crashed into the Empire State Building, which at the time was the tallest building in the world. Now, 14 people died total, 11 in the office that was hit, and then 3 in the bomber itself. Now, the blame, and we have to think about this because this is back before all the sonar that we have today, was fog. Guys driving over New York City in the fog and ran into the biggest, tallest building in the world. So that was interesting. Also, on this day, this is just for you guys to start conversations around the shop or wherever you're working. On this day, in, I believe, 1914, World War I started. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. So that was in 1914. So, but I read the thing about the bomber going into the building, and I was like, where have we seen that before? But this, of course, was due to fog. So a couple of interesting things that happened on this date. Now, for you old fellas, I see you, Tony, John G. Mendelberg, rumors of spotted bass here on Murray now. It's only a matter of time before spotted bass is going to get wherever they can get. Okay, spotted bass, you can love them, you can hate them. And I know what's up, Tim. I'm getting ready to tell everybody about the weekend with you too. Um, but spotted bass, if they can get into a body of water, they'll get into a body of water. And if you give them enough time with the right bait, they'll take over that lake. So hopefully, we've seen that up here on Blue Ridge up here in Georgia. It was a smallmouth haven. It was our smallmouth lake, and spotted bass got in there. And if you catch a true smallmouth now, a true smallmouth. I'm not talking about a mean mouth where a spot and a smallmouth hybridized. I'm talking about a true smallmouth. They call them unicorns. They're still there, but back in the early 90s, I could go up there and target smallmouth. I would take a little white Zoom curly tail grub and just slow roll it on the bottom. And I caught all the smallmouth I ever wanted. Can't do that these days. Spotted bass, they're there. So hopefully, Mendel, and I don't know what side of the fence you're on, whether you want them or you don't want them, but you guys got a great largemouth fishery there that fishes already like a spotted bass lake. So hopefully you don't mess that up. Jeremiah says spots are taking over almost every body of fresh water. I just want them to leave the largemouth alone. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's there. I'd like to know the difference in the Coosa spot and the Kentucky spot. Jeremy, we've talked about it. We've talked about it on the show with some other guests in the past, and I'm not a biologist. I don't know the exact difference in there. I know one seems to be a little shorter, a little fatter. Is that the right way to say it? I thought I had an earphone in. I was listening to a book on Audible before I got in here. I was wondering why I couldn't hear right. I don't know the specific differences, but there is a difference. Either in some call it Alabama, Kentucky. I'm not a biologist, so I don't know. Mason Roaching Fishing on TikTok. Personally, I love spots more, but I like a good largemouth here and there. Mason, spots, we're spoiled, though, because we got Lake Lanier spots. And you got Lake Lanier spots, and then you got that lake out in California, whatever it is that has okay, you got spots there, and then there's everything else. So being here on Lake Lanier, and I hope we get into some of them big spots, but I wouldn't mind a big largemouth this afternoon. Coosa spots are usually larger, not sure as to why. Let's see, can you get Shan, the fish biologist, on again? No, he don't like me no more. If I'm just being honest, he don't like me no more. But I can get us I'll get Colin Steele to explain the difference. I can get him back on and get him. And I'm thinking about on this lunch break too, guys, start getting some guests to pop in during the day, because a lot of guys can't join us on the live well because we do it Tuesday and Thursday nights. I got something going on. So as you see this lunch break grow, we are going to start piping in guests for you guys. And that way they can come in short 30 minutes. I don't have to keep them 2 hours. And hopefully we'll get some guests in there and we can answer those kind of questions. Let's get to our Gen Z word of the day, though, before we go forward on the rest of it. All right, so your Gen Z word or phrase of the day is NPC. NPC. Just like it sounds. Just 3 letters. NPC. Now, its meaning is let me make sure I didn't miss nobody on TikTok. Its meaning is a non-playable character, someone who seems emotionless or generic. And here's the example they gave, because I want you guys to use this in a sentence today. She was totally NPC at the party. Tony Collin Fishing, non-playable character. That's it. So see, there's at least one old guy out there that knew what it was. Now, the term originated in gaming, and it's used to mock people who seem to lack originality or self-awareness. And it's considered a low-key savage kind of poke at somebody. So, anybody that's NPC? What do you have on today? Hold right in close to the camera, please. What hat do I have on? This is Cherry Street Brewery. Cherry Street Brewery, 2 locations, one at the Halcyon in Alpharetta and one on Vickery. That's kind of considered Alpharetta. Die-Hard Anglers app. Spots have been on Lake Cumberland here in Kentucky for many years. Haven't ever taken over. Die-Hard Angler, let me ask you one question. Do you have blueback herring in the lake? Do you have herring as a bait fish in that lake? Because I'm telling you, if you get bluebacks in the lake, I'll give you an example. Over here, there's Latham Reservoir. I don't know what AFK means, Aaron Parker. I got 20-year-olds living in my house. I also use the word bot. That guy's a bot, meaning that guy is lame. And Silverpunk knew it from his old gaming days. We have stripers. Get it, but blueback herring. So there's a lake over here, electric only reservoir. And okay, so Jeremy says no, they got alewives. Okay, so Latham Reservoir over here. What's up, Bustum Outdoors? It was stocked with just largemouth bass. Now there were a few spotted bass that were in there as the lake filled up from the Etowah River, and that the Yellow Creek came off of that. So they were in there, but they were very, very small. Very small. You do have herring. That's interesting. Well, over the course of time, somebody introduced blueback herring over here to Latham, and they took, because it's only 340 acres, but it's deep. And it's perfect. It's a mini Lake Lanier. If it had rock, it would be a mini Lake Lanier. When those blueback herring came in, it changed the entire fishery. The spots got bigger, more aggressive, and it's even changed. You need to go to Latham Bass Booze Music. Absolutely. So it changed the largemouth on Latham too. You still have your typical largemouth that will sit shallow, and do largemouth things. That's what I like to say. They do largemouth things. But also now, just like on Lake Lanier, you have a class of largemouth, basically kind of like Murray, that are out there, and they're pelagic, how do you say that? Pelagic. They're out there chasing those herring. In fact, when we fished our tournament over there, about let me read this from Robert Blesky, or Big Bait John. What's up, Danny? Hope you're doing well. Latham is the deal. It is. Our spots don't get real big either. Maybe you just don't have Lake Lanier. We're spoiled by Lake Lanier diehard anglers. We're spoiled, because I'm going to go today and with farming. I guarantee you we're going to catch some 16. He will 16, 17-inch spots. They're going to weigh 4.5 pounds. I mean, they're footballs. They're just footballs. Now, Rob says the difference between Coosa spots and herring spots. Coosa spots tend to be more of a shallow fish than the herring spots. So those that live out, I guess he's quantifying herring spots like those that are out there on Lake Lanier. John G. Wiltz says Tim McGuire, 730 split. I've never heard NOC, no cap low. I've been waiting to use that no cap. Yeah, so NPC, Ditch Pickle Daddy, let's go. So anyway, it's the herring changed Lanier. Lake Lanier, a 4-pound spot in Kentucky is a big one. Jeremy, a 4-pound spot on Lake Lanier is common. Biggest I've caught in 20 years is a 4-pounder, and it's rare to see that. Guys, if you go on the Fish North Georgia, stay out of trouble on here. Ditch Pickle Daddy, I promise you. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best. If you go and keep up either through the Fish North Georgia group page or anything, and what's up, Gone Fishing with Ed? If you keep up with anybody, any of the tournaments, Messick personal spot is 3 pounds, 10 ounces. If you're not bringing 5 fish in for 20 plus pounds on Lake Lanier in a tournament, in one of the better tournaments, you're not cashing a check. And during the right time of the year, there are guys that will throw back 20 pounds because they know that they don't have it. They don't have it. Lake Lanier's spotted bass is ridiculously different. Coosa or Alabama spots tend to be in dirty, shallow water, and sometimes act or can be located in largemouth type covers, says Tim McGuire. And I want to congratulate Tim. For those that don't know, yesterday I went up to Blairsville, Georgia, and I married Tim and Tiffany yesterday, and it was absolutely. I was teared up doing it. So it was one of the happier weddings I've done. It's the shortest one I've ever done. Messick, is the spots getting you to 20, or do you have to have a kicker largemouth? No, dude, straight spots. If you got a kicker largemouth, you're pulling in 25, 26. But I married them yesterday in a nice little ceremony. I want to thank Tony Watkins with Fishers of Hope for allowing us to use his cool little spot right on Lake Notley. And so we had Lake Notley in the background and all that. But Tim, remember what I told you now. I'm batting 1,000. Y'all don't mess up my percentage there. But I was just absolutely, I was happy. And congratulations to them. I've seen what a good woman has done to Tim, made him happy again. And so I like that. So it was the highlight of my weekend. The GOM blast, we'll talk about it, was great, but that was the highlight of my weekend. Are there yellow perch in Lake Juliet? I heard they are, but never seen them. And I'm there a lot. If it's deep, that lake will have it. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. A 4-5-4 spot with Frost and Austin on a glide during herring spawn. The herring make life great for us anglers, to be honest, especially in Georgia, 100%. I boated 8 the other day and barely made 20 pounds. And Gone Fishing with Ed says, yes, yellow perch and Juliet, I've caught them. It's always fun to go back and forth between this screen on TikTok and this one on YouTube, trying to get all the comments. If I miss a comment, y'all type it again. I need to take some 5-hour energy before I start these things for sure. Coleman Jones, for those of you out of state, Emil Wagner had 24 pounds of all spots this winter. 16 plus one Porcos Friday night. Bluebacks have changed the lake for sure. And he's talking about Lake Allatoona. We always called Lake Allatoona the Dead Sea, but I've always liked Lake Allatoona because you could always catch fish. But the spotted bass were absolutely tiny. Herring will absolutely change that when it comes to spots. The only concern, Jeremy says 1.5 pound to 2 pound spot is average for Kentucky. I'm telling you, if you go out and fish a tournament on Lake Lanier and all you're catching is 1.5 to 2 pounders, you're not weighing in. Unless you're in a club and you're fishing for you have points and it's a tournament trail, you're not weighing in. If you're fishing for straight cash, that ain't gonna do it. Because I tell everybody, I am the king of the 2 pound spotted bass. I can catch them. Might just be me, but Coosa spots seem to be meaner. Teeth will tear your thumb up. I did a podcast with Henry Cowan. One of the first ones we've ever done. If you go on the FNGO page and you guys scroll all the way back. I can't remember which one he said, but he said you could take a Coosa spot or Alabama spot and Kentucky or whatever and tie them together. And that Coosa spot, I believe, he said that Coosa spot will drag that Alabama one all over the place. That just kind of goes what you mean by saying meaner. The brotherhood amongst anglers is unmatched, Tim. That's what FNGO is all about, baby. We're one big family. And that's why I like getting together with you guys every day. What do herring have to thrive in a lake? We have a bunch of striper guides that use herring, so they must be in there, but we don't have a spawn like other lakes. Well, bass with toothier lips are chasing bait fish. I guess so, Ed. I'll say this. I would say you got to have some deep water. Needs to be deep. And other than that, I don't really know. I'm not a biologist. I can tell you that when we heard of bluebacks getting in on Allatoona, Wilbatron checking in from Illinois, the non-Chicago part. Appreciate you joining us today on YouTube, buddy. Glad to see your name in the comment section. I don't know. Lanier spots are massive. A 3-pounder is actually the average. Yeah, for sure. I don't know what they need to thrive, but when people were talking about seeing them on Allatoona, one of the big questions or talking points that we had was they draw Allatoona down in the winter so much. Was it 12 to 17 feet or whatever it is every winter? We were wondering if they could survive it, if there was enough actual water left in the lake during the wintertime for them to thrive and everything. And apparently there is. So I don't have the answer to that question. I know Latham is only 340 acres. It's loaded with bluebacks. And it's got threadfin and other stuff, but it's loaded. But I imagine you got to have a good plankton source or those kind of, that part of the food chain has to be really good. Really, really good. Now, one of the things we've talked about with blueback herring that is a downside to them is your bass spawn, okay? Their fry go to the grass and any other place that they can find safety in. Right about the time they get there, it's when the bluebacks come up and you have your blueback spawn, your herring spawn. They will eat bass fry. Latham is only 348 acres. Yes, 340, 345, somewhere in there. That's not much. If you catch Jeremy Conkright. I want to make sure I'm not missing any comments. Jeremy Conkright, there's a lake or two in the fall and early winter you can win with spots, but it's still only 13 to 15 pound bag. I ain't gonna get you nothing but honorable mention, maybe on Allatoona now. A Lanier, you ain't weighing them in. If you catch 1 2-pound spots, I would toss them in the well and discharge them. It would make lakes fish bigger. Now, that's the thing a lot of people have talking about. I know it's kind of off record, but I've heard through various sources that on Blue Ridge, where, again, I mentioned it earlier, that was your smallmouth lake in Georgia, that you can keep all the spots you want. Now, don't quote me on that, and that is not official, but we've heard it through the grapevine that if DNR pulls up and you've got a boatload of spots, you ain't getting a ticket because they want that to be a smallmouth and largemouth fishery. The spots have decimated it. Now, again, that's through the grapevine. I've not had a game warden walk in here and tell me that, hey, keep every spot you catch out of Blue Ridge. But I do agree with you, Rob, that if you're going to keep fish, to eat a 1 or 2 pound spot is amazing. Spot limit is 12 inches here on Cumberland. That's what it is on Allatoona. Now on Lake Lanier, it is 14 inches. To weigh it in, it's 14 inches. The spots on tuna are getting a lot better now. I've been fishing it for years, and we have a change. That's good. Tony says we need herring and Wedowie for all you Southern boys. Lake has the potential. If I were stocking a lake, I guess it depends on the size too. If I were stocking a smaller lake, 340 and below, they are good eating. That's what I was getting ready to say. A 2 pound spot makes a mean taco, man. I think we're going to do a video too. We're going to go catch some spots out of a lake, and we're going to show you start to finish. Catch, clean, cook. A couple of different ways to cook spotted bass. Put it on our page. But they are good. Now, largemouth, I know a lot of people don't eat largemouth because of what they are, largemouth. But even I had a father-in-law before he passed away that everywhere we went and fished, he kept everything. He was going to take them home and eat them and fry them up. Got no problem with it. If that's what you want to do, do it. But largemouth, to me, are not near as firm in the texture, and they don't taste as good as a spotted bass. It could be their diet. I don't know. But if I were going to have a fish fry, unless it was on like a lake like Hickory Log, that's pretty much 99% largemouth and needs about 2,000 a day taken out of there just so you can get some big ones, a little more big ones. I don't want to eat a largemouth. I just don't like them. I'm not against anybody going out there. We have state laws and limits in place. If that's what you want to catch and eat, by all means. If that's what you're feeding your family with, go do it. I don't have a problem. I know there's others out there that do. I don't. I say eat them. But if you have the choice between largemouth and spots, spots are better. Spots are a cleaner taste and crappie, like to me. They are diehard angler. That's what I'm saying. Spotted bass, when I say a spot makes a mean taco, I'm not lying. You can blacken a spot. You can take that and fillet them and blacken them, put some blackening season on them, cast iron pan, get a good sear on them, Put them in a taco, put that little chipotle sauce on it, some slaw, some pickled onions and stuff like that. It's amazing. I love it. I mean, my mouth is watering sitting here talking about it. There's no length limit. Okay, let's see. Messick, I'm trying to catch up. Nom, nom, nom. I don't know what nom, nom, nom means, so I'm out of the loop. If it's something I can repeat, let me know what that is, Bass Booze Music. There's no length limit on spots in Cumberland. Only in tournaments they have to be 12 inches to be weighed in. Joshua Goad says, catch all the spots you want in North Carolina. Good eating is what that means. They are good eating. With that being said, our shad spawn is amazing. That's wild. Greenwood is just under 12,000 acres, and our river channel runs about 40 feet. I believe our max depth is 60, and that's by the dam. So Latham is 300. I think it's 340, 342 full pool. Deepest part is about 106, 107 right there at the spillway. The main body of the lake runs 70, 80 feet deep. You'll stay 40 to 50 foot deep until you get into the arms, and then it shallows up in the back of some pockets. But what's crazy about that is, the spots will school year-round on Latham. Everybody talks about topwater during the summertime. You guys don't know how many. Latham is only 7 minutes from the shop, and it's right in my front yard. So going home, I top this little hill, and I can see the lake, and I can see the boat ramp and all that. And I'm watching fish school out there. It can be January, February. That's one thing spots do bring to a lake that largemouth don't, I think, is the topwater. Don't get me wrong. You can get largemouth on topwater, but spots, if you can call a spot out of 30 feet over a brush pile, he'll come up and just absolutely slam it. And I hope we get into some of that this afternoon when Farmer and I go. We can keep talking about that. But I want to make sure, because Coleman Jones was watching. We did go to Tony and Father Time, Kevin from the Live Well, John Aldred, and Farmer, and a couple of guys that watched the show. We all met over there at the GOM Blast and went in there. And I had a great time. I will say it's much more geared towards hunting. I would say 95% of it's geared towards hunting. So what I would like to see is it move fishing kind of come in there a little bit more. Got striper on top water 2 weeks ago over 60 foot. They were schooling so cool. Bass Booze music. I'm telling you, yeah, it is. It's cool with any fish. You can get any fish on top water. I don't care if it's a brim. There's something about a top water bite that just does something to us men. It's crazy. Spots taste a little fishy to me, and I hate fishy taste. That's why I don't really eat fish anyway, but still. I get it, Jeremiah. It ain't for everybody. But it is a fish. It should taste fishy. I love it when somebody says, well, I don't like these fish, but it tastes fishy. I get it, but Coleman said it was awesome getting to meet all of you. It meant more to me and my I can't read today. Fiance, then y'all know. I know it isn't the best thing for fishermen, but it's cool to know y'all cared enough to visit. Well, listen, I hunt too, and I think a lot of guys out here hunt too. Deer season's upon us. It's coming. Got them in my yard right now, eating all the briars and stuff that I don't want to get out there and weed eat. And I watch my dogs sit there and they start, what's up, Atlanta Safe House? Aquaholic, first time I've watched from TikTok. Well, hopefully I don't get in trouble and they don't kick me off again. So I'm going to be on my best behavior, but I appreciate you joining us. Good pop. Yeah. Deer season is upon us. Cletus said it's coming. So if you went to the GOM Blast, of course, that's what you were going to see. Oh, it's Eric. Okay. There you go, Eric. Can y'all use corn in Georgia as bait? Yes, except for bears. Okay. Except for bears. And I think turkeys too. I'm not, but deer, yes. Excited to get Dylan on the show. He's confirmed for next Tuesday. You're going to have to, I can't even pronounce his last name. We have had an amazing day at Atlanta Safe House, and I saw your text. I hate you didn't get to come to the blast because of the wreck and everything. I meant to hit you back, but I got going on doing other things. So we'll get together soon. Is it Philadelphia? I can't even pronounce his last name. Cameraman Cletus kind of put it at Falardo. Dylan Falardo. Did I say that right? Falardo. But anyway, he's going to fish the Bassmaster Classic next year. I know that. And we're going to have him on next Tuesday, so that's going to be good. They're biting on the Ultima now if you can stand it. Perfect. I said it right. Good. Falardo. Dylan Falardo. You ain't never seen a topwater strike until you've seen a rooster fish, tarpon, snook, king mackerel, or tuna blast a popper or stick bait. No, Jeremiah, I haven't seen that. I'm looking forward to it. Don't want to give y'all the big head, but meeting you guys was the best part of the show for me. Well, Doug, I appreciate that. That means you don't realize how much that means to us. A lot of guys follow us. A lot of guys come to the shop. It is really cool to go out in public somewhere and get to meet somebody that's been watching you and everything. And don't forget who your new best friend is, Mr. Kentucky Huntland. I'm just saying. That might be an episode of the Real American Road Trip. We need to put a hunting episode in there every once in a while. But no, Coleman, it was awesome. It was awesome. I'm going to tell you right now, Coleman, you outpunted your coverage, dude. You know what I'm talking about? Better hang on to that one, son. They're pretty good folks when they're asleep listening at you right there. But I'm telling you, it was cool. A lot of hat makers. Gabe Edwards, what has your approach on Lanier been like this time of year? Well, Gabe, I ain't fished it much, but I tell you what, I am going tonight with Jonathan Farmer. I'm going to meet him over at Charleston at 4 o'clock, and we're going to hit the water. And, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Everybody lets me know. Yeah, Coleman, I mean, seriously, you're a good-looking fella, but that one right there, that's a keeper. She's very sweet, though. She was very nice. But she's spunky. That's what I like about her. She's spunky. That's a businesswoman right there. But anyway, I asked Farmer, I said, okay, because I don't want to take my entire tackle box. Just don't want to. So, Danny, I'll see you at the ramp. I'll be over there at 6:30. Holler before you get off the water. We'll do, Cameron. It's hard not to call you Clint. You know, I know that, yeah. Got to film some cast stuff. I'm going to take the 360 with us, too, and we're going to film a little bit. But I asked him, I said, all right, Farmer, I don't want to take everything. What am I taking? What do you want me to bring? And, of course, now you guys got to know Farmer's a power fisherman. So we ain't going to be noodling any minnows. You can do that. We're not going to be doing that. What we're going to be doing is, he said, bring a topwater rod, bring a jig rod, bring your wacky worm. And so that's what I'm taking. I'll have a topwater like a Spro E-Pop tied on, something like that. And I'm sure we'll hit over brush piles and stuff. Jigs and cover. Farmer throw a jig anywhere. But buzz bait, when he says we're going to do a buzz bait, that tells me that as the sun gets down a little bit, we're going to be in the back of creeks around some ramps. And what's interesting is, when you are a co-angler with somebody, you should use a whopper plopper. Listen, if I got a whopper plopper tied on, something's dead wrong right there. It's wrong. What's up, Chef Fields? I see you there, baby. And I meant to come and look. I got y'all's hat right here. Superior Trailers of Georgia. Right there. We're going to see if we can get them on as a partner with the live well and everything. But he said we're going to do that until it gets dark, and then we'll hit a few lights. So that's kind of what his plan is as a power guy. Now, Cletus and them, if they're going to film some cast stuff up there, then I imagine they're probably going to be throwing OG, maybe some top water there, and then they're going to be throwing an Echo or something, maybe, I don't know, down deep. I don't really know what his plan is. I think whatever your strength is, you can, right now on Lanier, it's going to be tough fishing because it's hot. I mean, it's hot. But I think you can do whatever your comfort zone is. I mean, if you're a power guy, you're going to power fish. If you're a finesse guy, you can catch a finesse. Show up with a glide. What's up, Purse? Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do. I'm just telling you right now, I just want to get on the water. Because if you ever want to get out of fishing, open up a tackle shop. I was talking to Jamie Koza. That's the cool thing about the expo too, is I get to go meet guys. I did it. Jason Hammond's down at ICAST. He owns a local tackle shop here. Everybody knows Hammond's, and everybody knows the Dugout. Jamie Koza and the group, and they had something there. Danny, you need to bring a big cranking rod and deep plug some points. I might do that because we talked about it with you'll be mentoring. Yeah, I know you will. We talked about that with Underwood the other day. I might do that. I got a couple big Spro crankbaits. Good jig bite going on right now, but has to be smaller one with a compact trailer. 0 bites on full-size jigs, both on spots and largemouth lately. Well, there you go. That's somebody's experience. So kind of keep that in perspective. I know Alex was on Lanier last night. I believe he was throwing a shaky head. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. I saw your pictures. So it just depends on what you're doing. If I were going by myself, just because I've got more confidence in anything, I would be throwing a wacky rig around docks, a weightless wacky rig, letting that thing just slowly sink down, using that shade line. Spy bait got me a couple the other day, mostly on underspins. I opened up a mobile tackle shop. 2 years later, all the boat ramps closed. Ditch Pickle Daddy. A mobile tackle shop. That's pretty interesting. That's an ice cream truck. Did you have any music as you was coming into a given boat ramp? Little ding, 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 ice cream. But back to the Geo Wind Blast, and we'll keep the fishing talk going. We'll just scatter. It was Saturday that he was fishing as we scatter it all in. But the Geo Wind Blast was cool. One thing I did notice, a lot of apparel makers, definitely around the hunting industry. And apparel it's a cargo trailer, Ditch Pickle said. It's a apparel is some of the best margins, if you guys know what I'm talking about, in retail in any industry. All of us have a hat on. So saw a bunch of guys with hats, knives, those kind of things. I did buy me some deer scent lures from a company out of Kentucky. And of course, I got to go to Coleman and them and Superior Trailers and meet them. But what was pretty cool is to see that that's a local company and they're doing big things. That's what I like about going to expos, is seeing the local companies that are doing big things. But I got to talk with Jamie Koza and had a good conversation. Anytime you can sit down and talk to with Doug Rice, high dollar hats. Let me tell you something. I'll get back to Jamie in a second. Let me tell you about hats right now. Your standard price for a hat is going to run you $24.99 across the board. Now they get more expensive, and the cheaper ones are a little bit. But if you want A Richardson, say like this one's a 115. If you want a Richardson, it's going to run you $24.99. That's what we charge here at the shop because the wholesale side of them have gone up. And so when you see a guy charging $24.99, yeah, we could buy hats 10 years ago for $10, but $10 is not even getting you one from the distributor. It's not even getting you anything from the distributor right now. There are good return on investment though with hats and shirts and everything like that compared to a pack of worms. I'm just going to tell you that's just the way it is. Okay, it's just the way it is. Everybody that walks into a tackle shop and goes to that guy and says, "Hey, wish I had your money." No, you don't. No, you don't. I promise you. And you have to understand that the tackle shops have to deal with the big boys like Tackle Warehouse and all that kind of can set the prices and set the market on everything. Bring an inflatable tube and a cooler and have Farmer pull you around and stay away from his hook set. No doubt. No doubt. And Doug says, yeah, I buy them for G4. I know they're high, but it still hurts. Don't it, though? Because I'd love to have this entire shop filled with nothing but hats. I can make money on them, but you got to pay so much to get them in. And so, Kevin Thornton fusses at me all the time for not having a bunch of hats in here. It's like, well, Kevin, I got to make some money to buy some more hats. But if you want a good quality hat and you see a $24.99 price tag, while you might not like it, that is just the industry. That's what it is right now. And that's for a Richardson. Now you can get the New Pong, U-Pong, No Pong, whatever they are. And then, yeah, you can get them a little cheaper. But I'm a hat snob. I hate to say it. I got enough hats to, we only sell embroidered. We have mostly embroidered, but we do have some patches, some patch hats that guys like, leather and then embroidered patches. But it's expensive. It's expensive nowadays. But yeah, I am going to watch out for Farmer's hook set tonight because if he's anything like Sheffield, you guys don't know because they're big boys. They're both 6'7", 6'8" with wingspans that are just as big. And you're on the back of the boat. It doesn't matter how far you are away. That buzz bait or something is coming right by your head. Whew, y'all know how many times. And I trust them guys, but still, they know how close they can get, but they throw it sidearm and it scares it, especially when we're around docks. And I'm an overhead caster unless I'm around docks. But I mean, it is. But I'll be on my best behavior and watching for sure. Do you need somebody to make your hats? I know somebody from high school who made our tournament hats this year. I believe the more you buy, the cheaper they are. That's the way it is. We've got a place here in Cumming, One With Outfitters, that does a fantastic job with ours. And we've got that OG gray one that says that. I've got a design for hats that I'm getting ready to come out. That's a little play on FNGO. It's going to kind of say F and go. We're just going to put a little apostrophe right there, change the thing a little bit. It's normal for me to pay $30 for hats. Titus Williams says, yeah, the hat game's gone up, but don't you feel like, let me ask you this, like, don't you feel better in a good looking hat? One that fits. I got a round head. Look, I got a big old head. There are certain hats like the rope hats that the trout guys wear, the fly guys wear. I can't wear them. They ride up on my head. They ride up here on my head. They won't come down. And I like to pull my hat because this is back from my baseball playing days. I wear my hat low. It's just the way I am. But don't you feel better in a good hat? I own probably 40 plus hats and have a lot of hair. Yeah, everybody's got the hats. When you're balding at 24, a good hat keeps you engaged. Coleman, you're probably balding because you're wearing hats at 24. I've had a hat on my entire life, and I totally attribute some of it to my dad, God rest his soul, and some of it to the fact that I always have a hat. The worst thing you can do is lose your hat on blast off. You don't realize how much the sun affects you. 100%. Absolutely. Your hat game's got to be strong. It's kind of like a female's purse game or shoe game. So, we have certain people and males that they like the shoes. It's all about the shoes. And in others, it's all about the hat. And one of the coolest things I can tell you as a retailer, as a brand, what's up, C Mix? Good day to you, buddy, on there on TikTok. One thing that I enjoy more than anything, and I hate to say this, it gives me a big head a little bit, is going somewhere and seeing somebody wearing our hats and them not realize I'm there. I see it at restaurants all the time. You go to a boat ramp, we've gone to a tournament and half the tournament's got our hat on. And I'm like, it makes you feel good. It does make you feel good. Love me a good hat. 100%. And I didn't plan on talking about hats today, but how that's the way we go. Am I the only one that if a hat doesn't fit right, I refuse to wear it? 100%. And once you wash it or your wife washes it and messes it up and it shrinks a little bit, that hat's going to the pile. But you're not the only one. And this is for you guys can kind of see it. You guys on YouTube can't, but if you've been in the shop, but you guys on TikTok, you can kind of see it. We have people bring old hats here in the shop. And when they come into the shop, we have them autograph it and we're hanging them. And my goal is to fill up the entire ceiling with customers and people that have been on the podcast and viewers, fans, and all that with their hats. Because you go, this is what we found out. You ever been in one of them bars where they have the dollar bills on the wall? You sign the dollar bill. We found out from several bar owners that the IRS taxes them on that every year. Now, how it's taxed, I don't know. But if you've got 12,000 $1 bills on your wall, you have $12,000 according to the U.S. government. Danny, do you have any more camouflage hats in stock? No, but I'm fixing to order some. Yes, they have to fit right. My wife won't even attempt to buy me a hat anymore. Yeah, the best way I found to clean a hat, and a lot of you guys know this, but the best way to clean a hat is a dishwasher. Now, they make a little thing you can put them in, but even if you don't, if you go to the top rack of your dishwasher and you put your hat in there and run it through a cycle, you'd be surprised at how clean they get. Now, don't dry them in there. Titus Williams, I'm a member of the Southern String Hat subscription, and I get a new one every month. Interesting. If you want to make $1 million in the tackle business, you got to spend $2. Yep. And Paul B says the dishwasher. Dishwasher will get that salt stain. Y'all, you guys know it. We wear a hat fishing. Eventually, especially the cheaper ones do it worse than anything. But you get that old salt stain. That ring goes right across top of your bill right there. A hat cage paired with a dishwasher is the best way, hands down. And I used to have that hat cage. I need to get me another one. But if you don't have it, you can just lay them in there right. Take all your little things, stick it up, just lay them flat. Put that in there. And I don't use, and you guys can put it in the comment section what you use. I don't use the dishwashing tabs. I take me a big old squirt of Dawn, and I'll squirt it in there and shut it and run it. Don't put too much, your dishwasher leak. If you put just enough, it will clean your hats, and then let them air dry. That's the way I like to do it. What's up, Kevin Underwood? Are you on the lake today? And if so, what do we need to be throwing tonight? Me and Farmer are going out. But anyway, the GOM blast was great. It was great. But as far as the fishing, you had the dugout, and they had a nice booth, had some great deals going on. Lee Rose, I got to meet Lee Rose Koza. She's far more interesting than her dad is, Jamie. But got to meet her, got to make some contacts through her and everything. We're going to have her. We're going to start bringing he'll text me. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Chance Smith went out yesterday and about passed out. It's just too hot. Yeah, no doubt. I like the Spro hats, but they shrink in the heat, and I can't even fit them anymore. Some hats are like that. But met Lee Rose, made some contacts, met a company out of it's Christian Fishing Charters out of Louisiana. That hey, I'll talk about that in a second too. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second, Tony. We're going to see if we can set up an episode of the Real American Road Trip with him, possibly gator hunting. I think that'd be really cool. But you got to meet people like that, and you had to be intentional to talk to people. I'm not going to lie. If it was a hat company or something like that, I didn't give them the time of day. Not that I was being snobby or nothing. Just I wasn't interested in that. But there was a fella. If you go to these shows, they got the big bass tank. And you got that joker up there talking. This goes to know your audience. Know your audience. No matter what you do, where you're at in life, where you're talking, understand the audience that you're talking to. Okay, I have a feeling that if I started giving you guys an insurance seminar right here, a lot of you guys would click off, and I don't blame you. But there was a fella, and I don't know his name, but he had a bass fishing shirt on that said the some state of Oklahoma. And so Tony and Farmer and all of us were over there. The best way I can describe it is, tell me you've never fished Lake Lanier or a Southern Highland Reservoir without telling me you've never fished Lake Lanier or a Southern Highland Reservoir. Because the tips that he was giving out were absolute. Hey, Johnny, I see you. That's my daughter-in-law out there on TikTok. She's all right. I love you. You know it. But the fellow was giving tips that was absolutely some of the worst advice. And Tony, you might remember all of them more than me, but I know Farmer was about to have a heart attack. Farmer was over there. And guys, if you don't know Farmer, Farmer is a best way to describe Farmer is he's just a big old teddy bear. He's a big, big man. He's a big old teddy bear, one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met. But when he hears stuff, um, you could see inside of his brain start smoking a little bit. He's trying to figure it out. And he's over there and he'll start twitching a little bit. He's wanting to say something. He can't do it. Let's let him give those tips. That gives us the common sense folks an advantage. Never use a rattle in clear water was one of them. Never use a rattle in clear water was one of them. Things that if you were on a muddy lake, some of the stuff, yeah, maybe. But you got to understand you're in North Georgia. Now, yeah, that was the one I was getting ready to say, Tony. Listen to this one. Never fish a fluke on a ball head jig. This was what this guy was saying at the GOM blast. Now, I promise you, whether it be a fluke or a straight tail minnow, something like that, I promise you on Lake Lanier and Lake Allatoona right now, there are a ton of guys that have a fluke or something like that on a ball head jig. Sounds like he just didn't know how to fish in general. And Paul B goes, what? And Doug Rice is laughing. This is exactly what this guy was saying. Is the Farmer guy you're talking about the Emerald Popper guy? Hell no. Nope, Roger. Me and that guy don't see eye to eye. It is Jonathan Farmer. He's been on the podcast a few times. That other Farmer, he can stay where he's at. That was one of the goofiest little baits that ever came out too. But what underspin are you guys using? A lot of guys around here will use a spot choker. I would say in the North Georgia area, spot choker's probably got a big hold on the market around here. Good bait. Great bait, runs true. Get different hook sizes. So no complaints about a spot choker. And then really the reality of it is though, as long as your spot choker, as long as your underspin runs true, that's the big thing. If you can take your underspin and burn it and it not roll, then you can do okay. But a lot of them come with 4/0 hooks, 3/0 hooks that are a little bit bigger than some of the guys around here. Like Kevin said, caught them today on the ball head. See, well, that's my point. This guy is, and I wanted to tell the GOM blast people, and I might reach out to them and say, listen, whoever's doing your bait tank needs to understand where he's at. Swim, football, flipping, one universal, or you got to have them all. What's best or your go-to? If you're talking about jig head chance, if you're talking about a jig head, I just go with Arky. 90% of all, if that's what you're talking about, an Arky head will do 90% of everything. You can skip them. You can flip them if you want to. I know each one has its advantages. I know sometimes around here, let them talk. Let me talk to them, Underwood said. Yeah, you need to do that. What's with the red hooks? I don't understand red hooks because if you and again, I am not a biologist. But Chance, let me know if that's what you're talking about on TikTok. Are you talking about jigs, like a bass jig in the head? Because I want to make sure we're doing that. But as far as the underspin goes, you can't go wrong with a spot choker. He's talking about jigs, bass jigs. Most of the guys around here, and Farmer is one of the best guys with a jig I know. I tie his jigs. I tie his color. It's Arky. It's an Arky head. I think in the winter, some guys around here with all the rocks will pull. He can't type that word. I get it. They'll throw the football. That swim jig. Guys will throw a swim jig around here. They're all good. But if you want one to do everything, you can swim an Arky. Hey, you just reel. You can flip it. You can do whatever you want. So I just think Arky is the easiest way unless you want to get really technique specific, and you can do that, and then you can go into the other ones. But an Arky style head on a jig is for the average angler, which is what I am. Arky is good enough for 99% of what we want to do with a jig. Just not, again, like I said, sometimes you need to get more specific things. Swim jigs come through places, especially like you get grass lakes and all that's going to change a little bit. But here, Arky head. And listen, a basic archy head, what you want to get, and this is just listening to Ryan and Jonathan and guys like that talk. And Ryan's a hell of a he can throw a jig very well too. I'm trying to build my confidence on that style. I haven't been lucky, mostly Texas rig fish or topwater. Hey, listen, I tie jigs and it's not my confidence bait. But one of the big things with the archy head is the ability that head style allows these guys to be able to skip up under docks, to be able to skip up into cover and all that. So I just listen to them talk. That's what they're going to go with 99% of the time is an archy. Okay, so Kevin just chimed in on YouTube. He said, archy in the brush, football in the timber. There you go. Makes sense. Archy in the brush, football in the timber. So, but I would say too, can you fish an archy in the timber? Yeah. Can you fish a football in the brush? Yeah, you can do that. But I just see the pros use it all the time, and I'm like, it's got to work. It does work. Now, let me tell you, my experience is, and it was something I had to learn too, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being corrected in the comment section. But when I first started throwing jigs, because I grew up farm pond fishing Texas rig worm. What did we do with the Texas rig worm? We'd raise it up, we'd feel that, and then we would reel down, and we'd watch our line, and as our line took off or whatever, we'd set the hook. We'd let them swallow it a little bit. So when I first started jig fishing, what's up, Country Boy TV? When I first started jig fishing, I would raise my rod up, I feel that, and I would do that. I'd reel down, and I'd wait for that thing to take off. And, it would occasionally. But most of the time I'd feel another again, and I'd set the hook. And what guys like Ryan and Farmer taught me was when a bass hits a jig, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, they suck it up back into their crushers on the back top of their mouth. That's that first that you feel. If you feel that second one, they're spitting it out. They've already figured out something ain't right with it, and they'll spit it out. And that doesn't happen all the time, but the majority of the time. So if you're fishing with a jig, and that's why a lot of guys will use a faster reel so they can catch up with it and everything. If you're fishing with a jig, if you feel that first, cross its eyes. Cross its eyes. It ain't got it in its pockets. But that's just from being an old school farm pond Texas rig guy. I'd always raise it up, feel it, let them run a little bit, set the hook. Can't do that with a jig. Now, again, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I think that is the biggest thing. I think that's a mistake. A lot of guys, when they're first throwing a jig, like myself, they make that mistake. Because now if I got a jig on and I feel something like that, I cross its eyes. That is a Ryan Sheffield, Jonathan Farmer saying right there. When do you throw a horizontal line tie versus a vertical line tie on jigs? Whew. That's a good question, because really, I'm not the guy to answer that, Brandon, to be honest with you. Somebody in the Underwood, if you're still watching, one of you guys, I just give me a good old archy jig and go to town. I don't pay that much attention to it. What I'm learning now is how to mess with it with the fall rate on. It's fast. By the time you know it, sometimes sometimes you're too slow. There he goes fishing. 100%. Jeremiah says if a bass hits a jig, odds are he's probably got it. I got to feel that bump so I know. Once you do, I'll feel I'll be hooked literally. You haven't even felt the bump yet, Chance. You haven't had a jig bite yet. I'll say this. Big worm, give them a second count. Well, we talked about that the other night, and I still got your worm right here. This is one of the ones that Underwood uses. It's about a 12-inch worm right there. We were talking about big baits for big bass. You want to give these guys a second too. Vertical is in the grass, Anthony Hampton said. Jeremiah says, horizontal I like better for dragging the jig across the bottom. Vertical is better for flipping and throwing close. And vertical in the grass makes total sense. I've always said that bass don't have hands. They have to have it in their mouth, 100%. And that's what Doug Rice was saying. I think if I feel a bump, I bow up. And here's the thing that everybody will say this, and it's true. Hook sets are free, guys. If you feel something that's different, set the hook. Set the hook. Don't be fooled by the weight change when you're working a jig. Sometimes you pick it up on your rod and it's heavy. If you feel that, crack them. Jeremy, this is our Kentucky buddy right here. The best way to learn a jig is go somewhere where you can get bites. Don't matter if you catch them. Just got to get the feel for the bite. Now, see, Jeremy, that's the problem with me. Is I'll say, all right, I'm going to commit to the jig today. That's all I'm going to throw. Normally it's during a tournament, which is not the best time to do it because let's be honest, a jig bite generally is going to be on average, a better bass than a worm bite, shaky head bite like that. You're going to get bigger fish on average. But after 15 or 20 casts in a spot, I'm like, okay, what's up, 706 fishing? I'll be like, I'm not getting bit on this jig. And I know I can turn right around and chunk that shaky head or that wacky worm right in there and get bit. And so I lose patience. I do not have the patience that I need. Chance Smith says, that's what I'm thinking. I need to go somewhere where I know they'll get hit on it. That's an idea. But what's up, 706? How are you? How are you? I appreciate you joining us today. Hey, Gray Smokey, I see you too. So what's everyone's favorite half punch of trailers? Good grief, I don't punch enough. Hook set is the only thing free in this sport. That's right, it is. I'll say this. I wish I had Farmer, and I'll ask Farmer that question tonight. But I don't fish enough to where I punch. Now, when we went out to Gunnersville, filming that episode of the Real American Road Trip, I have never seen so much grass in my entire life. In fact, that's the first lake that I have ever fished on that had grass like that. I'm a North Georgia boy. Don't get to travel enough. You talking about being out of your element. But I know we were Dave Aldridge was doing his best to teach me how to punch, which is like just blind fishing. I'm telling you, it was like the craziest thing. But they were using a beaver style bait. I don't know if that's what you're asking. I know they had a beaver style bait, but you throw it to that grass and raise it up once, twice. Nope, reel up, pop it. Oh, Lord, it was bored. Now, again, 1-2, Danny. Oh, not pronounced like half. What is there? 1-2 punch of jig trailers. Aaron, this beaver 100%. I'm in Middle Georgia and I have nowhere to punch, but I want to try it so bad. 706, you say that till you do it, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I could catch a fish 100 other different ways. Don't get me wrong, if the fish would have been biting, and we only had a short time because we were filming. So we were just trying to get that in for part of the episode of just them teaching me how to punch. I didn't get a bite on it. I imagine if I'd have got a big wall hanger underneath all that grass and I had to try to pull it out, I might be hooked forever. So, okay, so in 4 minutes, you guys on the TikTok side, I got to go over there and I got to start the live again. It only lets me go an hour on that thing. So, I don't know. Love hearing that braid sing. I feel like the frog will get those same fish. So, yeah, for sure. So you guys on YouTube side, don't go nowhere. Let me get up. I actually tell you what, I'm gonna wait till the 440 ends. You guys on TikTok, I might not be able to see your comments for a second, but I'll get up and I'll start it over again. If you want to learn jig fishing, punch rig is just skirt over plastic. Jeremy Conkright said. If you want to learn jig fishing, take everything out of the boat but 2 jig rods and a jig box and go all day. See, that's what I'm supposed to do. But I'll be honest with you, I just don't have that kind of patience, which is weird because I can take a weightless wacky, go out on Lanier right now, pull up to a 40-foot brush pile, and I can chunk that thing out there and watch it fall the entire way. And it takes forever. And I got all the patience in the world to do that. Guys are making 20 casts to my one. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to patience on giving a one bait that I have no confidence in all day, like a jig, it's tough for me. It's tough for me. I see somebody over there says there's some old timers who still swear by them. Listen, jig still catches fish. It's supposed to be catching fish. It catches fish. Now, the Ferry One game, Jeremy Conkright, listen. You come down here to Lanier. I didn't get you down here on Lake Lanier. You can throw your bait caster all day if you want, but what you will see is them guys that pull out that Ferry One and then just pop, fish after fish after fish after fish. And then you'll go, huh? Because I know a lot of guys that are power guys. Every one of them's got that. They got that Ferry One on there for a reason. Absolute reason. Messick says, see, I'm the opposite. I can't sit there with a wacky worm and just wait and wait. It's way too slow for me. And somebody over there is asking if 706 fishing, is she single? I can't read all the comments, but y'all keep it clean over there. Right? Be easy on her. Be easy on her. Jeremy says, I'm throwing big baits if I'm coming down there. Hey, listen. And Country Boy says, I throw a jig on a Ferry One. Catching big ones is 75% mental. Get rid of the crutches. So you guys, hold on a second. I'm going to go over here to if you're watching us on TikTok, it says the live's about to end because they have detected inactivity during my current live. I don't know how more active I could be. I don't know what that means. And I got people coming in and out, and 11 people. I don't know. So I'm going to have to restart it here in 2 minutes. But you guys come right back, please. But if anybody knows how to keep my TikTok from doing that, let me know. But I'd like you to come down here to Lake Lanier. And you can throw some big baits, but I promise you, see that you don't have the spotted bass that we have down here. I didn't see the puzzle piece pop up. It didn't come up on the screen. It was last week, but it didn't this way or the week before because I wasn't on by half the time last week. But I promise you, you watch some of these guys. I'm throwing a rat wake at night and a glide during the day. You may catch some fish, Jeremy, but I promise you, buddy, you come down and you take a ball head jig like that guy said not to do, put a minnow on it. Let one of these Lake Lanier spotted bass change your mind about that. Mine does it when I have no service and it won't show a puzzle piece. Well, I got fiber, so it shouldn't be a service issue. But anyway, I'm getting ready to have to go start this thing again. I've replaced most of my spinning gear with BFS gear, Bottom Line Outdoors. A lot of guys have done that, but I like a spinning reel. There's nothing like hearing that drag on a spinning reel. I've got to come up there to fish. You need to come up here. We'll take you fishing. I do keep a drop shot on for a follow-up presentation. Underwood does. He has one on there. Is a fairy wand a spinning reel? Yes, Roger, to my old buddy right there. That's what these young bucks call a spinning reel. They call it a fairy wand. Don't know why, but they do that. So I'm going to get up, walk right over here. Don't go nowhere on YouTube. I'll be right back. What's the best trailer for Brazalo Bushwhacker? You guys in the YouTube comment section, help out John G. Oh, come on. $706 fishing said a Z-crawl. I'm going to get back over there to him. I'm just waiting his final 10 seconds. And I'm going to start it right back over again. All right, well, it says I'm still live, so we'll keep going. All right, ain't shut off yet. So, oh, there it goes. Go live again. All right, now we're back. All right, sorry about that. So I lost everybody on TikTok. I got to figure this out. I don't have nobody here to help me do this kind of stuff. So anyway, difference between spinning rods versus BFS is you are way more effective with the minnow twitching with the spinning rod. And I'm hoping I end up at Lanier for the Bassmaster College Series. I love that place. I hope you get here too. But there was 706. 706 was following us on TikTok before we had to start it over again. And she said to Z Crawl Jr. So that's what she was saying, was a Z Crawl Jr. So I don't know. But there are guys that fish it. Tony, what about the Weed Whacker? Because I just ordered both. John, I like the MRE from Tactical Fishing. So again, you guys, appreciate you jumping back on over there on TikTok. We'll build it back up as we go. Got to figure it out, though. I'm just happy that they haven't kicked me off so far today. So that is a plus in and of itself. But I would say tonight, 2/3 of the time, I'll have a bait caster in my hand. And then when we get to certain places, I'll have that wacky on my spinning reel, and we'll be chunking that around. So anyway, that's what's up with that. But, we've gone everywhere all over the world. But back to the Geo and Blast, I'm telling you, it's a good time. They need more fishing. So I get an email every year. Do we want to have a booth there? Hey, Tyus, we're back. Sorry about that, buddy. I ain't figured it all out, man. I don't know why it does that. I didn't see a puzzle piece pop up because it did that at the beginning, and now at just about an hour in, it does that every single time. It says ending it because of inactivity. I'm like, unless they want me to get up and dance, I don't know what else to do on that. But we'll be throwing a bait caster a lot tonight. But I think maybe next year, unless somebody hires me to be in their booth, we might do a booth up there just to get the fishing involved in it because it needs more fishing. You're good. Is there going to be another super tournament on Lanier this winter? We are doing. I'll tell you that in a second, Fred. We are doing the Toys for Tots tournament again, and that will be in December. This as far as us, and I'm going to help out Fishers of Hope. In November, there's going to be a tournament on Lake Lanier that's going to help out the Ronald McDonald House. So those are the two tournaments that I'll be messing around with. What wacky worm do you use? Depends on how much money I got. If you give me a choice, I'm going to use a Yamamoto 5-inch Senko every time if I have them. If I'm out of them, I'll use I'll even use Yum. I love the Berkeley. What's that Berkeley one? Okay, Big Shanty. No, they'll be posting it. We are doing that in December. It's not your power. It's that. What's that souped up Berkeley baits that they got? Not the power bait, but the hit worms that come in that stuff. The Berkeley General, yeah, but they make a regular one and then make that. You should try a Gecko Bruco. It's money. Well, I'll tell you what. Listen, if I'm being a cheap butt, I'll throw Yum. I can get 100 pack of Yum Max Scent. That's what I was trying to think of, Coleman, was the Max Scent style. I love the hit worms. The Mag hit worm, love it. John Phillips right there. Love it. Absolutely love it. But I'll use a Yamamoto. You just listen. But when you buy a pack of Yamamotos, 706 Fish. I was going to tell you, you don't have to cut off the live if you just go out of the app for a second, come back. Hun, you might have to get up here and teach me how to do these things. I'm old. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. Back in it, it'll say resume live. It'll keep your likes. See, I'm learning something today. Thank you very much. I'll try that tomorrow. I will try that tomorrow. I'll throw Yum if I'm being cheap, but if you buy Yamamoto, people fuss. Listen, they're only good for one fish. Yeah, but that's like buying a Jeep and then fussing about the gas mileage. You don't buy a Jeep and then complain that you're not getting 35 miles to the gallon. You buy a pack of Yamamoto Senkos, you know you're going to get one fish, but they just work. They just work. I love them. I only use them for tournaments. $1 a worm for 1 or 2 fish is rough. Yes, I get it. Hard to beat a cream Senko. I've won more money off that 1.24 worm than anything else, but it's the color for me. Nobody else makes it the way I like it. That's hard to beat. Parker, I want to read that. You and Farmer are polar opposites. He'll have the trolling motor on 7+, and you'll have to cast in front of him for a chance for your wacky rig to reach the bottom. Now, here's what I learned, and this is fishing with Farmer and with Ryan, because their trolling motor is on 10. If I'm fishing a wacky, just say I got I see you're over there, Chance. If I'm fishing a wacky, I'm looking almost for like a top water or a real quick bite. So when they're bringing their spinner baits or their buzz bait on the outside of the dock, they'll come up to a dock and they'll hit that first corner. The second his gets about, and I've had to learn this, the second his gets about halfway down that dock, I'm in my swing, and I will skip my wacky up under there in the shade line. Okay? Give it 3 or 4 seconds as the trolling motor goes, let my line drift. I'm either setting a hook or there's nothing. And I reel it up, and I'll hit the front of the dock and just – you have to figure it out how to work it. It's a pattern, and it is tough sometimes. Or sometimes I'll just pick up a spinner bait or buzz bait and follow them around. I wacky my Hilgermites and get 4 to 7 fish. I like the different presentation. I'm going to get me so do I weight my wacky with Farmer? No. I'm still fishing weightless. Or if we get back into a pocket, he's on one side, I'm turning around if I can reach it, because if you got cast 12 braid, you can reach the other side of that pocket. And so I can fish the docks on the other side and then vice versa coming out. But I'm not as worried about it getting all the way down to the bottom. All right, Kevin, text me, buddy. And I need some more of them purple worms. I'll tell you which ones I sold out. Guys, if you want some really cool worms, come up here to the shop when I'm open and get some of Kevin Underwood's flukes and stuff. They're amazing. But his 3 colors of drop shot worms, they're legit. And I got them here at Fish North Georgia. I use 2 O-rings instead of 1 on the Yamamotos, and it seems to help, and we'll get multiple fish on one worm. Those fish will eat it on the fall more than on the bottom, Titus. That's what I'm looking for. The aggressive fish, it comes down to the shade, boom. Now, the only time I use an O-ring, and this is just me personally, and I throw a wacky a little bit different, and I get this from the trout guys. I will go, if someone knocked on the door, would you let them shop live? If I knew it was one of you guys, I would. I got a big sign on the door saying shop is closed from this time to this time every day for a live podcast. Guys will come up and they'll read that sign and then they'll try to open the door. It's always funny. But the only time I use an O-ring is if I'm going to bomb cast it. Most of the time I'm not, and with that cast 12, I don't have to throw hard anyway. I've seen more big bass jump on the wacky as soon as it hits the water than on the fall, 100%. But what I like to use, and this is because of trout guys, think about the trout guys that are catching these 20-plus inch rainbows and brown on these little nymphs that are so small that you can barely see the tile. Basically, all they're doing is trying to pin. So I will use a 1, not a 1-all. I'll use a 1 wacky hook or a drop shot hook. There ain't much hook there, but I think it gives it a more natural fall. I've seen guys throw a wacky on a 5-all EWG, and I'm like, yeah, you probably could catch fish on it, but I think my catch rate went up a lot better. Now, what you're not going to do is you're not going to boat flip them. That's just the honest truth. And I do it on a spinning rod for those that, the ferry one. I throw it on the ferry one so that I can just play the fish out until whoever I'm fishing with can get the net. But I got that from the trout world, and I think it's made a ton of difference. I do not ever use a weighted wacky. Just don't like them. Those hooks ball up in the bait more. I just think I just need to pin them. I just need to pin them. And one thing everybody knows, I can throw a wacky. But that's one of the little tricks that I if I'm sitting 40 yards off, 40 yards might be a little bit much, but if I'm sitting a long way off a point or something, and I want to get it all the way up there, I might put an O-ring in there. But them O-rings on them Yamamotos is going to cut through them as well. They'll cut through them just as bad. I always use the ring for strength, but I got some rings on Amazon to color match. There's a fellow over here on Latham that takes some of that shrink tubing. He'll take shrink tubing, and he'll go ahead and get a pack of worms, and he knows he's going to whack him. Goes right in the middle, cuts that little shrink tube into certain length sections, puts his worm in, and hits it real quick with a lighter, just enough to make it tight, and then he'll put his hook through that shrink thing. The mullet angler would be happy right now. But that's just for me. I just don't like anything else. I just want the worm, a very, very small hook. Now, somebody asked what line size to use. I throw the cast 12 braid, and then I throw 8-pound Tatsu or 8-pound Invisex if I don't have Tatsu. The only time I'll get over 8-pound is if I'm fishing a largemouth lake. Largemouth are dumb. The largemouth are just dumb fish. Want to make sure I put fish there so TikTok don't get mad at me. I'll Texas rig a weightless Senko on a 5-aught, but that's a 7-inch Senko. Yeah, now if I'm doing that, I'll do that as well. But if I'm straight whacking, smallest hook I can get away with. So you got to think about that thing. I'm throwing it weightless, number one. And you want that fall, and you want that thing to impart as much action as possible. I think if you put a hook too big on it, it just pulls it down, and your worm is either sitting just straight or even inverted the other way because the weight of the hook's bringing it down. But you put that little number one wacky or drop shot hook in it, and the majority of the action you're going to get is what would naturally be imparted by the bait. That's just my thing. Now, I'm the idiot, too, that will go over here to the timber on Latham, and I'll throw that same thing. I will throw that 8-pound Tatsu, and listen, I'll get more bites than a lot of guys will, but I have to admit, I get broke off more or I have a little more problems in the timber pulling them out. I probably should go away. Never go slap full of braid. I don't. But I have some problems with that. I still get the fish in, but if I caught Becky, and for those that watch the live well, Becky is a big, 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 big bass, as Kaz Anderson likes to call them. Tatsu is strong. It is strong. It's good. It's expensive, but it's, luckily I can buy it at wholesale. That helps a little bit if I have something to go out and buy it all the time. But the thing about it, you buy a roll of Tatsu, if you're just using it for leader line, it's going to last a long time. I did a Nico rig video on my channel showing these little tubes that you can fish Senkos with. When you hook it up, it slides up the line and saves your worm. Still breaks after about 5 fish or so. Red Label all the way. Red Label's good. Listen, anything by Seaguar is good until you get down to that basics, okay? And it is basic. And I don't know if this is truth, but I'll come back to you in a second, Titus. 3 of the baits I struggle with the most are a wacky, a Ned, and a shakehead, which is funny since those are a lot of people's confidence baits. I find that people when it comes to Ned head fishing, people move it too fast. Okay, with a wacky, here's the thing about a wacky. Let's say I'm beating the banks as I'm going down. A brace X isn't that good at all. Yeah, I mean, just I have favorites. But if I'm going down a bank throwing a wacky worm, I'll put it as close to the bank as I can. 3 pops, let it sink. 3 pops, let it sink. If I get 10 foot, 15 foot off the bank, I'm reeling in. So it is kind of power fishing. I keep it really, it's more fast than it looks unless I'm on near. Now with a Ned rig, what I find is people move it way too fast. You've got when, as Bill Payne says, if you think you're fishing it slow, slow down. That to me is the secret with a Ned rig. People move it way too fast. And a Ned rig was not, think about if you go back and read how it was invented, it was especially effective when it was like super, super cold out west or Midwest or wherever, It's called the Midwest finesse technique. It's super cold wintertime, them fish aren't moving, and you're almost dead sticking it. So down here, I think a lot of guys get it. And they want to do it like a wacky. I mean, not like a wacky, like a shaky head. And sometimes I think a lot of guys fish a shaky head way, way, way too fast. I use the yellow label all the time, but ain't scared of the red. Yeah, I like them all until you get to the basics. Are you feeling them thump it or just watching your line for it to jump? My problem with a wacky worm is noticing the bites unless they're running with my bait. So this is the only complaint I have against cast braid, and I have told Ryan and the guys there 100 times. I wish they made a high vis yellow all the way, because if I can throw high vis yellow, I will. But cast braid is not, and I wish they would. I wish they'd just make a FNGO special run. I'd sell them all. But anyway, I use it for 2 things. You have to see your line moving. Unless you're lifting it up on that pop and feeling it, he's absolutely correct. So what I do is I watch my braid. I'll make that cast, and unless it just takes it and runs with it, and that does happen. It does happen. I'm watching for that line to do 1 or 2 things, either pop 1 time, or if I'm fishing docks, let's say I'm at a dock and I know that dock's 30 foot deep under that dock, and I skip that weightless under there, and I'm watching my braid, and my braid is sitting absolutely, maybe got to be a little patient, but if my braid is sitting absolutely motionless, not sinking at all, there is a fish that's suspended under that dock. He's got my worm in his mouth. So if I see that after a minute or so, not a minute, but you know what I'm saying, after a little bit of time, I reel up, and if I feel any pressure, that hook's getting set. Would you ever just use a circle hook and let them run? Well, Gator Hater, I guess you could. I have not. I mean, and a wacky worm is not quite a circle hook, but it's, you're getting there. But I see what you're saying. But generally, you don't have to wait that long to understand it. Now, lots of times you can just see that braid taking off, and that's the best. That's the best with anything on the bottom, shaky hair, whatever. They just grab it and go. But the biggest thing is being weightless under docks. And I know there's guys that may disagree with me, and they may do it a different way. And hey, 100% do what you like to do. But just for me, when I cast it, click the bail, got it on a semi-slack line. I'm not tight. Semi-slack line, watching that line. And if you see that little one-time pop, boom, you just got bit, set the hook. 30 foot down, and that thing hasn't sunk, but see you later, Doug. That thing hasn't gone down, but say a couple of feet, and that braid is stopped. That joker's just sitting under that dock. Reel up, feel pressure, set the hook. Doesn't always work. That's just what works for me. Bass Pro stick baits are very good too. More value than the Senko, more in the package, and as close as you can get to the action in the original Yamamoto. That's why if I'm going to get into that, I'll use the Yums. Now, Yum is the Ford Escort of baits, but they're good baits and they work, and they are cheaper. I can get a 100-pack of Yums. I know me and Blake Buchanan went over here on Latham last year, fished a tournament. I'll catch you tomorrow, Roger. See you, buddy. If the fish are running with the bait, there's more fish there that are trying to that's trying to get the bait and it's trying to get away from it. I agree with that. That's always a possibility, Titus. I buy 100 of the Garys. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Well, that's what I normally do. I got in an accident with a Ford Escort on Tuesday. Sorry, Ditch Pickle Daddy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up bad memories. But you know what I'm saying? We had a tournament on Latham last year. I took a 100-pack of green pumpkin, just straight green pumpkin. It might have a little black flake in it, but green pumpkin, it's a sore subject. I'm sure it is, buddy. Green pumpkin, 5-inch Cincos. We had about 39 left after the tournament was over. We put 40 in the boat. Probably should have put 60 in the boat, really. They're tougher, but we were in timber when I was throwing that. Now, if I'm on Lanier, I throw that one color. They called it Monster Shad, and I don't know the number, but it's like a 327, 196 chart. But it is, if I'm on Lake Lanier and I'm throwing for spotted bass, my Cinco is more, it's going to have some shine to it. It's going to be more herring color, more shad color oriented. If I'm going on a largemouth lake or I'm in timber, that's why I throw a green pumpkin. But I have to look at I don't have the number. It came out for Tackle Warehouse as a special run from Yamamoto, and it was called Monster Shad. And it was so popular, then they decided to start putting it out to distributors. Had a guy tell me about it. You go on Lake Lanier or you go on Allatoona, on Latham, and if you're targeting spots, that largemouth hit it too, but that color, there's something about it on Lake Lanier. And people that listen to the live have heard me talk about it for a couple of years now. You'd think I'd have the number written down or in my head memorized. But that's just the way, and it's funny, we're sitting here talking wacky worm. It's not what I planned on talking about either today. Hats and wacky worms. This is why I love doing this. We just go wherever the comments take us. But next year at the GOM Blast, to get back, we went full circle on that. I think we may do a booth just so that we can get fishing there more. Because hunting season, when we started fish North Georgia, we also have Hunt North Georgia. It's not the natural shad, Trey Crenshaw. It by the number, it's like 297/something chart. I'll find the number. I'll have it for you guys tomorrow. If you can get your hands on some of them, because they're always sold out, and you fish on a spotted bass lake and you like throwing a wacky, that's the color. But natural shad's a good color too and will work. There's just something about this color that's crazy. And when I first set it out, the guys that told me about it said, do not tell anybody about that color. And I just can't do that. Tuna don't have any spots. Another color that I tell you is really good. It's really, really good. Y'all hold on 1 second. I'm going to show you. So hold on 1 second. I must have sold out of them. There's a color that is green pumpkin on the top and an amber reddish color on the bottom. That thing works on Lake Lanier, works on Lake Allatoona, any of these lakes around here. I can't remember the specific name. I had a young kid here because you can't get them in Yamamotos and all that all the time. So I had him make me some, and I guess I've sold out of them. You ever fish Savannah River for striped hybrid or big largemouth? No gator hater, but you know what? I'm a cheap date. We can figure out a way to hook up and do it. Ever throw a morning dawn Cinco? No. Interested to see how they work, but I'm just assuming they do. I've got them. Never thrown them. I just, here's another thing about a Cinco. You fall into one. Zoom makes a color. It's like a sand, and it works. I got sand trick worms and finesse worms, but I sell them during the wintertime. For some reason, they don't sell during the summer. But if you're talking about Cincos, and we'll make this our last topic for the day, I guess I'll say the rest of the stuff I was going to talk about for tomorrow. A lot of guys use okay, how about that? What's it take for a small, soft plastic maker to get into your shop? Call and let me know. Let me know if you got good stuff. I'll put it in here. Just reach out to me on Facebook. Message me on Facebook. Just Danny Pruitt. Shoot me a messenger. But I'm willing to do that. I'm actually redoing my shop to actually have more smaller bait makers in here and be a more specialized shop than just having all the Strike Kings that everybody else has. So that is definitely something we can do, Ditch Pickle. If you got it, just reach out to me, and we'll look it over and see what it takes to do. I'd love to promote smaller companies like that, 100%. But are you a guy that on your shaky head, do you throw like a Cinco style bait? Or do you, somebody honked at me, or do you throw you guys were asking about the door. I got somebody at the door. I got to change it up. But, Hold on 1 second. Hold on a second. Come on in.
You live still?
I'm still live. But I'm almost done.
You're good. I'm sitting away.
Oh, do what you got to do. So anyway, but a lot of guys will take a Cinco and they'll use it on a shaky head, and I do not. I'm one of those guys that like to use the mag hit worm. What's the last name? Pruitt. Pruitt. Danny Pruitt. But a lot of guys live and die with that Cinco on the shaky head. I just don't. I don't know, for whatever reason. I like throwing it wacky, but I don't put it on shaky head. A lot of other guys do. So anyway, all right, with that said, we've gone an hour 25, and I got some people in here that I'm going to talk to. So tomorrow we'll be back at 12 o'clock, same time. We'll continue this talk. We'll continue this conversation tomorrow about Cincos on shaky head, or do you throw a trick worm style bait or something like that. So we'll do that, because as soon as I get talking with these guys, my ass is headed to Lake Lanier. And so we're going to go see if we can catch some bass tonight with Jonathan Farmer. And I'll report on that tomorrow night with you guys as well, just what we got into and all that. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Don't listen. If you're out there working, stay hydrated and all that. I'm going to go hydrate and I'm going to go fishing. So we'll see you on the next one. Get rid of my YouTube guys.